better for me.
It's a little chilly outside, yeah. All right. My name is Chuck Burge. We're here with three guys who love sports, along with my co-host, Mr. Robert Kinney. Robert, happy Wednesday to you, brother.
Beautiful Wednesday.
It's a beautiful day. It's going to be a little cold when we get out of here at 8 o'clock tonight.
I have this question. I'm cold and I live in hot Atlanta. Why do people choose to live in Minot, North Dakota? I don't understand that. I'll never understand that.
I will not
because they
either.
work for the government.
Yeah.
Well, they're probably in the Air Force if they're in Minot.
Yeah.
Yeah.
That's
So our show is all about supporting guys with prostate cancer and other mental and physical issues. If we can help take their mind off what they're going through for an hour a week, and you can help someone for an hour a week, this world will be a much better place. So we will move on with that. And we want to thank Steve Pearson, is really the inspiration for this show. And we're coming up on 2 years here in a couple of weeks, right, Larry?
We are.
Yep. So that's pretty cool that we've been doing this for 2 years.
Did you take Steve's money at poker on Friday?
I won a little bit.
Good for you.
Well, I won $17, but I also was a big winner, so I got to buy frickin' M&Ms. So in the end of the night, I'm going to lose money.
In Chuck's Poker League, you always want to come in second.
Second
first
is
place has
great.
to buy those peanut M&Ms.
Yeah, it's pretty brutal. It's pretty brutal. So thank you, Steve, and we're glad you're doing well. As I said, we're here at Miller's Ale House, and we always enjoy being here. We appreciate their hospitality and their yummy food. I'm getting the Mimi's Fiesta Bowl tonight. Did you stick with your fajitas?
I did not. I went off the normal page and went with the chicken scampi.
Wow.
Something new on the menu. It's got that little new. It's like, try me, Robert.
Something new is always good, right?
It is.
You got to try something new.
Absolutely.
All right. Well, speaking of something new, we got something old, but it's sweetness. Bill Sterrett. Bill coming back in, join us. Big round of applause for Bill. Second place in the Fantasy Football League again. No, wait, did you win last year or did you come in second?
No, we had a virtual champions, co-champions.
Co-champions
kind of like
last
Georgia Tech and Colorado back in the
1990.
day.
Yeah.
So last year,
Everybody
because
wins.
of the Cincinnati-Buffalo game, Bill was gracious enough to double my Jamar Chase and Josh Allen scores from the next week. And,
Because they canceled the game.
Because they
Yeah.
canceled the game, and it did doom him there. And but it's kind of wild that you and I have now met for 2 titles.
Yeah. And it was not looking that way, like 4 weeks ago or so.
Well,
no!
I believe this, and I'm a junkie when it comes to fantasy and everything else. Last year, I had the best team. Kelsey was great. Allen was great. I had Jamar Chase. I had everything. This year, I probably had the 4th, maybe 5th or 6th best team, but I won at the right time.
I had a very good team, but everybody got hurt.
Yeah.
Everybody got hurt. And
Yeah.
if I'd have made the finals, I would have stood no chance because both of my quarterbacks were out. McCaffrey was out, and everybody else was out. So I would have no way I could have won. I think I wound up scoring 164 points in the consolation game over 2 weeks. So.
We'll definitely change a couple things on there to make sure that Week 18 is no longer a needed thing, because you could be dominating and have an undefeated team where everybody dominates and nobody plays and you just lost the league.
Well, I kind of like that is the fickle nature of fantasy football.
But you don't always have to invite the fickleness to your
It's already there.
Thanksgiving.
It's baked in.
Exactly.
Yeah. All right, so let's get into some real sports, starting with the national championship.
I might have won $300 on that, so I don't know what you're referring to as real sports. That was as real as it comes to.
So were you surprised? Were you happy? How do you feel about the national championship?
I was excited for the Washington quarterback because I saw him the game before, and I saw some footage where they flipped it and he was throwing righty,
right?
And I was like, oh, that guy's got some skills, boy. Well, that guy can get rid of the ball, and I thought this guy could really do well maybe in the NFL, and he got mauled.
Well, he only got sacked once, but he just got harassed the whole night. He got hit, he got knocked down, and he was hurt. I mean, it looked like he played the whole last quarter hurt. But he's got some very talented receivers, a lot like Ohio State. They had Washington obviously had a much better quarterback than Ohio State, but the same group of 3 receivers. of good 3 receivers.
Right, absolutely. They had a good team. I hate Michigan, so it's hard for me to just suck it up and say it. But Michigan won, no doubt about that. The one thing that's kind of weird is that first quarter, because without that first quarter in those 3 plays, Washington really dominates the game because they really only had that and then a little bit there towards the end. And those plays, I remember that one stat. It was they have 175 yards rushing and 164 of them are before contact. So,
that was pretty wild.
That was the stat. So you think about that. That doesn't happen at any level, let alone a national championship. So
Donovan Edwards 2 touchdowns. One was 46, one was 41, right?
And I think both of those were untouched. I mean, you're losing flag football games at that point. It really wouldn't have mattered. So, congratulations to Old Blue, and may your path to everlasting happiness be paved with. What should it be paved with? Subpoenas and
asterisks.
Asterisks and subpoenas.
Well, Michigan's got a really, really good defense. I mean, they played so well.
Yeah.
I think they're going to lose a lot of players coming back. I saw they were in the top 10 next year. Don't even know if McCarthy's coming back. I know Blake Corum has left. The guy they got, also number 2 on defense, Jones, I think is his name. He was the defensive player of the game. He's coming back. So,
but you strike while the iron's hot, and if you're good at Michigan, this is probably your time to leave. And when you look at it, people talk about it all the time when it comes to March Madness and stuff like that. But this was a veteran group of kids, to make it to the Final Four 3 straight years. Those first 2 years, they took their lumps and they did a little bit of learning, and.
And they all came back
to
get where they went, which was really cool.
You had the COVID years.
It was really team spirited stuff. They seemed like a very close squad.
Everything was team except for their coach, who was missing for 6 of those games.
Well, I don't think that was his.
Might have brought them together.
Well,
I think it absolutely did.
I do too.
I think it did.
Yeah.
We'll win this in spite of Captain Khaki.
We'll see a Disney movie about that.
So, speaking of Captain Khaki, what happens to him? I heard something today that he pushed spring practice back a week. Does that mean I'm coming back, or does that mean let's get more time for the new guy to get in here and do some stuff?
He tried to jump ship last year. He tried to jump ship the year before. So, far be it from me to think this dude wants out of Ann Arbor, and he will probably be at the NFL. We know that there's a few job openings right now, and I'm sure there's a lot of people excited in those cities thinking that he might come and save it and resurrect. Because,
well, I think Michigan's offering him $125 million to stay.
Ooh.
I mean, his problems could be, there could be subpoenas, and he's going to get in trouble. So, I won my national championship. Let's get out.
And you're absolutely right. Even though he's done everything, he could sign that contract, and I'm sure the lawyers who write that contract will make sure that when he goes and gets suspended for a year and a half, based on stuff that's already happened, realistically that could happen. And so yeah, I see him.
He's hired an agent who's got NFL
experience,
getting
coaches in there. Yeah, it's very difficult for me to see a coach without all the side chatter and stuff about lawsuits and all that stuff to win the national championship, man, and say, I don't want to do this again. I think this would just be awesome to build kind of what Saban has built at Alabama, at Michigan. But this is the year. But this is the year. I mean, if he doesn't go this year, he's not going to go.
Is the landscape of NCAA football changing next year significantly with?
But I'm lost. It took them 50 years between 47 and 97 to win a title, and now it's taken another 25 years, and now you've got him on the same level as Saban, and he's dominating.
I'm sure. But if he goes to the NFL, he doesn't have that chance. That's all I'm saying.
But he was in that Super Bowl game, and when the power went out in New Orleans, the guy almost won a Super Bowl with the Niners before Shanahan got there. Yep. And I will say one of the coolest moments was when John walked up, and I don't think I like either Harbaugh, but I definitely like John way more than Jim. But when he walks up to him and the game's already
on the
started,
sideline,
you know,
yeah.
and hey man, just want to let you know I'm here. Oh yeah, okay. Well, hey, let me get back because it's a national championship game. You know,
I'm working here.
Yeah, I'm working here. But yeah, I
That
thought
was
very
cool.
cool.
That
very
was a cool moment.
Sure, there'll be another moment like that if Jim can help it.
If Jim and if John can help it.
If
We'll have to
John's
see what
there,
happens.
Jim will show up.
So let's talk a little bit about next year's college football. As Bill said, it's going to be chaos, and let's see, 12 teams versus 1. I know Robert's all excited for it. I wish it would stay at 4, but obviously,
or even 6.
Yeah, I don't ever get what I want when it comes to college football.
They didn't call us.
What are you pulling up there, Robert? Because I think you have something to say since you're.
Oh no, I'm just pulling up what it would have been this year.
Oh, okay.
So you know, under the rules for next year, all these games weren't the exact games that they had happen because of everything else. But you know, this year it would have been Penn State at Georgia opening round, Ole Miss and Columbus opening round, Missouri at Oregon opening round, Liberty at Florida State opening round. But you know, that's amazing stuff. But you know, as of right now, this year you only had to win 2 games.
Nick Saban is retiring.
There you go.
That just came up on the.
There you go.
That's what just came up on on ESPN's bottom line.
See,
On the scroll.
Chuck,
Going
Yes.
to the NFL.
Chuck is like a stumbling savant. He doesn't know that he goes there when he goes there. And little do we know that Harbaugh's going to Tuscaloosa. He is the next Saban.
No, boy, we can talk about that now. Is Dabo going to Tuscaloosa?
There's no way. I don't think anybody who has already made their bed in one of these places, whether it be a Harbaugh in Michigan or a Dabo, there's no way you'd want to go immediately in and follow that. Because you're not going to.
And that's very curious because, again, I was saying, this whole shifting landscape, like everything's going to be different.
Absolutely it is.
And so, I mean, does he have insight that says, I just think it's, I don't want to be a part of this, or, I want to get out.
I think that's probably part of it, Bill. And I think if if Harbaugh goes, that's got to be part of his thinking too. I don't want to deal with this.
And so with 12 teams, you can lose 2 games, right?
Possibly
and still
3.
make it.
Possibly 3.
But I
And
doubt
so.
it.
So does that mean that players might sit out or say, "Coach, I'm sore," and I've got my nil money, and I'm just sore,
And you're right there. But depending on if you really want to win the game, as of right now, this year Michigan had to win 2 games. The least amount that you're going to have to win next year is 3 games. And that's only if you're one of the top 4 teams and you get a bye. If not, you're going to have to win 4 games. So, as much as you want to say it doesn't put a lot of emphasis on some of those earlier games, if Ohio State and Michigan are playing for, what they always play for, supremacy in the Big Ten. But, if you don't win that game, you're not going to get the bye. And so you're going to have to play an extra game versus the best of best caliber. So I think it's going to put a lot of good stuff, and not to mention these bowl games will start like
Halloween.
December 15th.
I did hear that the Peach Bowl would be a quarterfinal game. So they are incorporating the bowl games into the playoff system.
They have to.
Yeah.
They are.
They can't do that and have all these 43 bowls or whatever
Correct,
it was.
but that's for the second.
That's second.
Round.
That's second round. First round is
At home.
At the school state.
Correct.
The schools.
The 5, 6, 7, and 8 seeds will all host that first round game.
Yeah. Okay. All right, cool. So
Crazy.
Yeah, it is going to be crazy. Football is going to take on a whole new slant now. Certainly with Saban gone, that's a little bit of a shocker.
But the one thing that a 12-team playoff does is, in all other sports, we always talk about, it's just so difficult to win a dang champion. How did the Diamondbacks make it all the way to the? Well, it's so difficult when it comes to playoff time. We've never really had that be a talking point for football. Going back to us growing up, one played in the Rose Bowl, 2 played in the Sugar Bowl. It's only been since '92 that they've actually had a game where you're doing something. So it's going to put, how did an 11 seed Missouri come out of nowhere? Well, whoever was the 5 seed, they weren't expecting who was coming to town, and you rattle a couple wins together and you can win a championship. So I think it'll change the way we look at it. There'll be more excuses for the teams that lose going into the future.
I would agree with that.
Because right now Michigan won the title.
Yeah, well, Georgia's got a road to hoe next year. They got Alabama, they got Texas, they got Ole Miss, they got Clemson to open the season.
But their schedule just got a whole lot easier.
No, but
no.
Retiring.
I understand what you're saying, but I will say this: unless you see a mass exodus, I'm talking Moses parting seas and everybody following. You're not gonna. You better still be worried about Alabama because there's a lot of players in Alabama.
They will be, but Saban's been in Kirby's head for years and years, and eliminating that is going to be huge for Georgia.
Now you know who would take
Unless
that job?
Kirby goes to the Falcons.
You know who would take that job? Somebody like Kiffin.
Yeah.
Because Kiffin's brilliant in my own opinion, and he's like, yeah, give me them players. I'll show you what we can do here. So we'll see what happens.
All right. So we got we have 228 days, I think, to hash out college football stuff. I think that's when the next game is. Let's get into a Brian Bristow Kennesaw Lube Express Lube commercial.
There are a lot of places to get your oil changed in the Kennesaw area, but if you're looking for a personal experience, then stop in at Castro Kennesaw Express Lube or Lost Mountain Express Lube. We'll always do our best to get you in and out quickly, safely, and without a whole lot of fuss. We're a true owner-operated business where you'll find Brian under a car or a hood at one of the shops. We offer experienced, knowledgeable technicians and the latest computer software to help you maintain your new car warranty and keep your pride and joy running for the next 100,000 miles. We proudly offer Castrol products.
Thank you, Brian Bristow and Kennesaw Express Lube for being a sponsor of the Three Guys Who Love Sports, along with the Owls Who Live Sports coming up at 7. We got 3 very effective tall volleyball players on our show tonight. Maggie Bukovic, Leah Freeman, and I can't even remember, Caroline Cole, all going to be on the show at 7 tonight. So if you want to come hear some tall tales, that's a good one, right? Tall tales from tall girls. Come on out. So,
or if you want to hear us recruiting another aspect of the ATI decathlon, that will be entertaining as well.
Yes,
How's the volleyball team doing this year?
They're done.
They're done.
Oh, they're done?
They did start again in September. So, but they had a good year. They always do. They're a very, very, very talented team under Coach Keith Schunsel. So, always happy to follow the volleyball team. Can't wait to interview them tonight. Speaking of tall, let's take our first dive into basketball this year. We haven't discussed much basketball. And, of course, to me, the big story of the NBA this year was Ja Morant sitting out 25 games. And then he comes back and plays in, 10? Now he's gone again.
Yep.
He's gone again for the year. Is that karma? What is that?
Well, that's what I wrote down. Yeah. It's I don't know if it is, but a lot of free time on the young man's hands, and so it'll be interesting to see
if he can stay out of trouble.
How he does that.
Yeah.
And that's pretty much where I was. I got no clue on a lot of things, especially what he's like in his life or anything else. But I hope he uses all this time wisely and keeps trying to better himself so that, we don't hear about, just for the record, in case you were wondering, and you're probably watching the show, Ja, I know we're getting pretty big in the Memphis area. At the end of the day, we shouldn't hear your name for 9 months. There should be no name
other than rehab is going well.
But people won't even ask that question. People will forget about asking that question. We'll just take it for granted that it's going well. Don't post anything about how it's going. Just take care of yourself.
Don't say, shoot, I'm having a good time or anything like that. Yeah.
If you're feeling a bowel movement, and do not walk into Walmart and say, I'm going to drop a bomb on this place.
Speaking of dropping the bombs, the Hawks are still the Hawks. I think they had one big win a couple of weeks ago when they beat the Celtics. But they're still, 5 or 6 games under 500 in just an average game. And I was listening on the way over here
7
today.
games.
7?
Hey, it's better than the Pistons.
Yep. There's not much that's worse than the Pistons. But they were saying that even for tonight's game, I know Embiid's out for the Sixers, but they had 6 or 7 Hawks that are on the injured, questionable, doubtful, whatever list tonight. So I don't know what's going on with the Hawks. I thought Quinn Snyder might be the coaching answer, but I don't know that it's the coach. I don't know.
Ranked 28th in team defense.
That tells you a lot, doesn't
Is
it?
that a problem?
Is that a problem?
Houston,
there is a problem.
And there's a lot involved in that, but I just look at defense as hustle and effort and just putting your body on the line, and you may not have the talent, you may not have somebody that can fly explosive like John Morant.
Absolutely.
But start with defense. Play defense.
Defense is one of the only things you can control.
Yeah.
And you're absolutely right. We don't play it, but instead of going negative on this, I decided to try to find a positive spin. And my positive spin is that we're currently lined up to draft 7th. So
Hey, that's one ahead of the Falcons.
So unfortunately, we've got to do a much better job of losing. The top of the draft is 1-9, 1-9, 2-8, 1-9, 3-7 in their last 10 games. So these teams are losing at record rates and leaving us. But it was funny. I went on to Tankathon to see where we would Tankathon to see where we would draft, and then right next to it they had a mock draft to click the button, and a mock lottery. And I decided I was going to click that button until it showed the Hawks drafting number 1. But I only clicked it one time, and it went straight to the top, and it has us drafting number 1. We only had a 7.5% chance of getting it, but hey, things are looking good if we got the number 1 pick.
Yeah.
I
You
don't
would
know
hope.
who that is at this point.
Yeah.
Hopefully not a 7-2 guy out of Purdue, but
No.
Yeah.
No.
So we know the Hawks aren't the best, but who is the best of the NBA? For my money, until you beat the best, you're not the best. So the Nuggets are still number 1.
they're good. I'll stick with Philadelphia and Boston. Boston still
like
hasn't lost
Celtics.
at home, and Embiid just appears to be unbelievable
When he plays.
when he plays.
Yeah. And then the Lakers won the in-season tournament, which I don't understand at all.
Yay!
But,
unfortunately, you're 19-19 now, which
And they
means
hung a banner for that.
They did hang a banner
That's
for that.
pretty sad.
and it looks nothing like the other banners. So you're in an arena that has lots of banners. It's one thing when you're like, hey, should we hang a banner? We got nothing. Hang a banner.
Yeah,
So
yeah.
they hung a little. It doesn't look the same. It's
One
kinda
more
fun.
thing to take down when they flip the court.
There you go. All right.
They don't take down the banners.
They
for
don't take down the banners when the
would-
Clippers play?
I wouldn't think so, because those things. I mean,
That's probably
They're in
a,
the rafters.
challenge
Yeah.
to get them up there. Yeah. Yeah.
crazy.
All right, so there's college basketball going on too. Georgia.
No, I want to talk about this.
Hey,
Please,
I'll
somebody.
let you know when we're going to talk about it.
Okay, please, somebody pull up the Georgia schedule.
I have it already.
Okay, give us the list. Who are their last 9 wins against?
The last 9, and this is part of my.
Yeah.
They beat Tech by 14.
Winthrop,
Yeah, but-
Winthrop, Florida State, Mercer, Georgia Tech, High Point, Mount St. Mary's, North Florida, Alabama A&M, and Missouri.
They've played nobody.
Sounds a lot like their football schedule.
They've played nobody.
And they're not ranked.
No,
They
did-
shouldn't be ranked. They're not good.
They did beat Missouri for their first SEC win.
Correct.
So
That's a
they're
nice one.
just at the very start. All I'm going to say is Mike White is obviously doing something different than what the coaches.
No,
were doing
he's
before
not.
That is a very weak schedule.
That is
even by their standards.
that is one of the worst Power 5 schedules in the country. They've played 3 good teams all year.
Totally agree with it.
Providence, Miami, and Oregon, and they lost to all of them.
All right, so they're 11-3. Go back and look last year and see where they were before Mike White. Where they were after
They weren't-
14 games.
It wasn't much better.
It wasn't. Well,
It could
It
have
was
been
a lot
It-
worse.
well,
It
yeah.
was a lot worse.
It was a lot worse. So that's all I'm saying is Mike White is doing something right.
He's
At
scheduling
least-
cupcakes.
They're at least I'm sure they were scheduled way before Mike White got there. But I
They've
think
they've
that
lost
he's
3
winning the
games.
games that they should win, which they did
Oregon,
not do before. And you know me, I hate
Miami,
Georgia. I'm
and
just trying to give the
Providence.
guy some props.
Hey, winning games is winning games, and you can always trick a basketball team into having more confidence.
Right.
And we thought the same thing about Liberty football when they were up 6-0. It's like this was an undefeated team. We thought we're going to go out there, and it stopped at 6-0,
43-6 or whatever it was. Yeah.
But at the same time, hey, that's probably
And look at the FAUs of the world last year.
The 8 straight wins, no, because they actually had players and were beating real teams. Their schedule wasn't High Point, Mount St. Mary's, North Florida.
Yeah.
So,
Yeah. And they beat North Florida. I think that was one of the teams Georgia beat that we have in a couple of weeks here at the Convo Center at KSU.
that's correct.
Yeah. Now, on the opposite side, Georgia Tech, who I thought Damon Stoudemire was going to come in there and do a good job, they started out beating Mississippi State. They beat Duke. And now they've lost 4 straight, including an overtime loss last night to Notre Dame, who hadn't won a road ACC game in 2 years, I don't think. So flip-flopping there. Georgia's dominating Tech in basketball, just like in football. It's not a good thing, but
Tech's got Duke again on Saturday.
yeah, they
Correct.
get at
God,
Duke. I guarantee
I
you
don't know when
they
the-
won't be coming away with a W on that one.
But we already beat Duke once.
At Tech,
Can you imagine? I can't. I used to go to a lot of Tech games in the '80s. I don't know how long it's been since Tech's won both
Thriller
games.
Dome.
No, both games against Duke.
Yeah.
2-0 versus Duke in a year. Holy moly, that doesn't.
Had to be in the Crimmins era, if then.
If then, because even then, it's team after team after team. So
Yeah. So, and the other local team here, of course, is KSU. They won their opener in the A-Sun on Saturday, but it was close. What, 80-77
80-77.
against Queens?
That's correct.
And the girls, I think, won by a little bit more than that.
They did.
But they're actually playing is it Stetson tonight
Stetson tonight.
Yeah.
at 7 o'clock for the second game in the A-Sun.
Which this is actually a huge game for them, because if you look at the A-Sun schedule, which I know everybody has dove deep into the A-Sun standings. Sorry, I had to change something here. So Kennesaw's 1-0, 10-5 overall. Stetson's 2-0, 10-6 overall. The next team is Eastern Kentucky. They're 2-0 in the conference, but they're 6-9 overall.
Yeah.
And then the next team is 1-0, but they're 5-12 overall. So this is clearly the matchup that will determine probably home court for that final game to make it to March Madness. So this is a really big game tonight, because once again, Lipscomb's the only other team with a winning record down there.
And what is Stetson's overall record?
10-6. We're 10-5. They're 10-6. So
Yeah.
they've.
We just got a text from somebody. I just wanted to think I'm making it up. So can you read that bottom text for me?
Tell ATI to quit talking over people off camera.
Wow.
Didn't ask.
ATI don't need permission.
We've got some followers.
It's-
We love ATI.
Sean, thanks. Sean, thanks for your feedback. I mean, no, it wasn't Sean. It wasn't Sean.
No, it wasn't Sean. No,
Obviously, a Georgia fan.
no, it wasn't.
Clearly.
actually. A big KSU fan. All right, so we know number 1 and number 2 lost last night. Purdue lost, and Iowa
Houston.
State beat Houston. Yeah, and then so Kansas probably moved back up to number 1. We'll see. We'll see come Sunday, because their week's not over yet either.
No.
So,
Nobody's week's over.
yeah. So it's it'll be interesting to see what happens, and we'll be talking more about college basketball as we get closer to March Madness. So
Got a
that's
month and a half of good basketball.
That's it.
Yeah.
And,
Yeah.
it's never easy on a top 25 team when you lose on a Tuesday, because you got another big game before that poll comes out the following Monday. It's
There you go.
This is our chance to make everybody know that was a fluke.
Yeah. Well, I think in Nebraska's thing, they shot the ball very well.
They shot 61% from three.
Yeah, that's
which
tough.
is never going to happen.
Yeah.
Except when it does.
Yeah, except when it does.
Except
exactly.
for when Vogdog 1 lets out the Cornhuskers, who may or may not scare Sean when he goes to bed later tonight.
Or tomorrow morning, yes.
Or tomorrow morning.
Yeah.
Tomorrow morning.
Okay, so let's
ever.
get our Alvin Jameson commercial queued up, Larry, and we'll run that.
Hey, Alvin Jameson here, the mortgage guy. Are you looking to get pre-approved for a home loan? Or maybe you want to build a house from the ground up? Are you curious, or better yet, is your significant other on your back about making renovations in your current home? Call me. I have options for you. All self-employed individuals. Are you torn between writing off all your income or having to show your income to qualify for a house? I have a third alternative for you. Whether you're a W-2 employee, self-employed individual looking to do a purchase or pull money out of your current house, or better yet, we can't forget the investors out there. If you have that high interest rate, hard money loan and looking to refinance out of it, again, give me a call. I have options. Below are the states that I'm personally licensed in. Call me, 404-587-9033. Again, 404-587-9033. Visit the website, alvinjameson.com.
All right, welcome back. We're all going over the Saban retirement announced 10, 15 minutes ago, but we're going to move into some NFL stuff because there's a lot of stuff going on in the NFL. We now have 7 coaches in the coaching carousel, or 7 teams in the coaching carousel.
7 teams. And before we go any further, I have a question for you. Does anybody know what happened 42 years ago today on the gridiron?
You know, I read it, and I can't remember what I read.
I also read it, and I don't remember.
You would block it out just on principle alone. The catch.
Oh.
Oh, no, I
Dwight
did
Clark?
not read that.
Dwight Clark, Joe Montana, the catch. 28-27, under 58. There was 58 seconds left in the game when they made the catch. You know, you stop and you think about different plays. You know, we were talking about earlier things that propelled Michigan on to win and stuff. You know, if they don't make that catch, they lose the game 27-21, and who knows? Maybe they don't rattle a bunch of championships off. You know, you never can tell how that happens.
Yeah. So, who do you want here coaching the Falcons?
Probably nobody I've ever heard of.
Yeah.
Dan Quinn?
I want a
I heard
leader.
Dan Quinn's
I want a leader of
runner
men.
for Seattle.
I want a football player. I want a leader of men.
You want Dan Campbell?
Somebody who was on the field. Yes, somebody who on the field, you know, was in people's faces,
Yeah, right.
and you know, somebody that can, because you can hire offensive and defensive coordinator. Dan Quinn was a leader of men. He just didn't know how to manage a game, you know. And I think in his last season they brought in an assistant, you know, to help him
to
manage
help
the
with
clock, you know,
yeah.
which is okay.
Yeah,
you know.
it's good to know your shortcomings and be able to do that. But yeah, I don't know that I know. Like I said, I hope it's not a Harbaugh. I hope it's not a Belichick. Good Lord, I don't think it's going to be a Saban. But you know,
Vrabel.
Yeah, I don't.
Would they bring
I don't-
Vrabel in right after having Smith?
Yeah, I don't need Frank Reich or anybody else. I don't need anybody who's just gotten fired who's part of this list.
I saw that Vrabel has some connections to the Patriots.
Yes.
Certainly.
But
Yeah.
when we look at this list, you know, what's sexy about this list? I'll tell you what I don't think is sexy. The Titans, the Commanders, or the Panthers.
Nope.
But then you start getting Vegas. What don't Vegas?
Vegas is probably going to hire Antonio Pierce.
I don't know about that, but they do have a great piece on each side. The Chargers, they got a quarterback. The Seahawks, I don't know how good the Seahawks are, but you know, I think the Falcons are attractive. I wouldn't call them sexy, but you know, they've got a lot of offensive pieces.
They do.
And
their defense played better this year.
they clearly played better on defense. You know, if we were going to hire from within, it should be the defensive coordinator. I don't know that that'll happen, but
I mean, if you could pick up, you know, a Kirk Cousins or a decent quarterback,
Absolutely.
you've got the makings of a pretty good football team.
Yeah, Well, we talked about this last year, Bill, and I want to ask you specifically, what do you think about the Falcons getting Justin Fields? If they're going to, because they're up against the wall. It's either Justin Fields forever or we got to cut bait now.
Well,
right?
I think that Fields won the clubhouse and he won the fans, and so I think he's staying in Chicago.
So Chicago's going to trade away the first pick?
I would think so, and I think you could get some. And then Marvin Harrison's got connections with Fields from Ohio State. Him and DJ used to run track together, and so these guys are like, man, we want to play together, and he just need an offensive coordinator.
They fired him today, right?
Yeah.
Or yesterday.
Yeah.
I was talking with a buddy while walking the dog the other day, and I told him, I said, and I advocated that you guys should have traded Fields last year and used the first pick. I'm advocating this year that you trade Fields for a future, and you trade the draft pick, and you don't even take a quarterback. Build your offensive and defensive line, and then, like you just said for the Falcons, add a Cousins a year from now, because whoever you trade him to, if somebody wants to trade up and you say, well, okay, New England's going to trade up because they want the number one pick. Newsflash, New England's going to stink next year, too. So if you have their number one pick, you go from 1 to 3 and get a 1 next year. I see you guys benefiting, but who knows what you'll do.
And he's not a great passer. I mean, we know that. But the players love him, the fans love him. They were calling Justin, the last home game. And I was watching that going, well, that's going to be hard to let him go. If you're Ryan Poles, the GM, you're going to have a lot of question marks hanging over your head if it doesn't work out.
I pulled up a mock draft, and it has you taking Caleb Williams, and has the Falcons taking Dallas Turner, edge rusher from Alabama. It's like, good Lord.
Oh, wow. I don't think that'll happen. Let's say that we don't take a quarterback in the draft. Who would you like to see the Falcons get in here?
Dallas Turner.
A lineman.
No, I'm talking about we have to have a quarterback.
Oh.
So who are we going to bring in if we don't draft one?
I mean, there's nothing out there.
That's what I'm talking about.
There's nothing out there where you go,
I don't want a Cousins.
Joe Flacco?
I don't want a Flacco.
The only person who would be almost available would be Baker. And Baker was available for you last year. You stuck your nose up at him, so you're probably not getting him this year. But
no, he's going to sign a long-term deal with Tampa, I think.
There's not a lot of available talent.
Yeah.
Maybe Geno
from Seattle.
Drew Lock.
No, we don't. No, please, Lord.
Yeah.
No,
so I think
Sam Howell. Can you work a trade?
Well, Sam Howell led the league in interceptions this year. So as bad as that looks, I think they're probably moving on and drafting a quarterback this year.
Oh, I do too.
But they're at the second pick.
And nobody ever talks about Tua being a great quarterback, but he's in such a great system. They got all that motion and speed, and it just works.
It does. He's got a good offensive coordinator. He's got a couple of great weapons, and to your point, he did lead the league in passing yards this year.
Yeah. Well, let's
than anybody.
Let's move on to that and talk about the playoffs and who's the weakest team. Weakest team going into the playoffs.
Oh, that's easy.
Yeah. Buffalo's rising.
Buffalo's rising.
Buffalo is the team to watch.
Green Bay's got a little confidence.
Yeah, Green Bay's got a little confidence.
Little momentum.
Jordan Love looks really good.
That's going to be short-lived.
Well,
Last 8 games, Jordan Love has 18 touchdowns and 1 interception.
Yeah,
and you know what? I read something today. He threw 32 touchdowns this year. Do you know how many of them went to somebody that hadn't been in the league longer than 2 years? 1. So everybody he threw a touchdown to was in their first or second year. So they got a lot of youth. The thing against Green Bay, we'll get to this in the picks in a little bit, but the 7th seed is 0-6 since the playoffs expanded. No 7
I love
seed has
that
ever won.
stat.
So
It's my favorite stat ever.
The number 1 seed Purdue Boilermakers love that stat about
Yes,
the Dallas
exactly.
Cowboys over there. Clearly the Bills are, but the Bills looked pretty rough, until that 96-yard playoff, punt return.
Yeah.
It didn't look so good, but yeah, I'd say them, and as much as everybody loves the Strouds, and I know
I love the Strouds.
ATI loves the Strouds. You know, Cleveland. All Cleveland's done is win with every quarterback. You know, hey Larry, you busy Sunday? We need you to say hike a few times. You know, they're winning, so I would not be surprised at all if Cleveland won that game.
That's at Houston, right? Yeah,
Yes.
Coach Houston division champs.
Well, it also has the benefit of Flacco only gets paid if he wins with his contract. He gets $250,000 for every win.
If Flacco was smart, he'd go hire Danny DeVito's
Jersey Mike's.
That agent who's sitting over on the sidelines and says, "Hey, I want a big deal for somebody for this weekend," and have somebody, have a. I was taking kids to the school bus just 2 months ago. I don't know.
We know it's been 9 years since Flacco started a playoff game, right? Who's the other longest tenured person ever to go between starting playoff games? He's number 2. Number 1 is somebody, Doug Flutie. Doug Flutie went 12 years without starting a playoff game, and they did it with Buffalo last in '98, I think.
Patriots and Bills.
Yep,
Wow.
yep. So very interesting stuff going on. Who's stops dropping? Got to be the Eagles, right?
Philly.
All this stuff everybody's talking
I'm
about
so
how great
happy
their
about
defense is, and it's just not. But Miami's a close second.
Yeah, Miami's
The-
with
the
the
two-
injuries and
The tush push is a raging dumpster fire.
Yes, it is.
There is no doubt about that. And they'll be in Tampa on Monday night. But for me, those Dolphins in Week 14, they were up 14 points, 27-13 over the Titans. And they gave up 14 points to the Titans in the final 3 minutes of the game. Had they won that game, they'd have gone to 10-3. And guess what? They'd be hosting a game this weekend. Instead, have you seen those predictions for the weather?
Yeah.
In Kansas
10
City?
degrees in Kansas City.
One of the 5 coldest games in NFL history is what they're calling for. And I started thinking about it earlier. I told a buddy of mine, I said, well, we can make fun of the Dolphins and go, well, clearly the Dolphins can't go to Buffalo. But then you got to look at it. It's like, well, your linemen are from Wisconsin. And, so I started thinking about it. Maybe the Dolphins aren't quite as soft.
Yeah.
So I went through the roster, and, 2 is from Hawaii. Yeah. And then their 3 running backs are all from
Purdue.
the Purdue guy is from Florida, so he only went to
Yes.
Purdue, he only went to Southern Indiana for 4 years and got the hell out. Their other 2 running backs are both from Texas. Tyreek is from the South. Waddle is from the South. So every key weapon they have. But,
Andrew Van Ginkel is from Wisconsin.
Van Dinkel, he'll probably be the star of the game, most likely. But, whenever it's that cold, it only takes one play.
Well, Tua's never won a game in below 40-degree weather.
Well, he's
0-3, I
he's
think,
like
is
the
what I
Buccaneers.
saw.
Wasn't
Yeah.
that the Buccaneers stat that they always
Yeah.
love?
yeah.
John McKay again, yeah.
And I didn't know if you guys knew this, but Jalen Hurts dislocated a finger
finger.
on his passing game.
Yeah, a middle
So,
finger. I
so-
heard the middle finger. It's like, as soon as I hear middle finger, I'm like, who are you showing that off to?
So-
You're not supposed to show
In the
the
press
finger.
conference, I
Had
think
you
he
read the
injured.
Number one.
Had you rather see games like we're going to see in Buffalo and Kansas City, or would you rather see games like in Dallas and Detroit in the Dome? I want to see them outside.
Well, because we're in our living room, I completely concur
Yeah.
with you. I'm gonna
see that snow.
I'm going to turn my heat up to like 72, 73, just so when I get a shiver. But I always tell the story. I went to a Nashville Titans game against the Colts probably 5-6 years ago, and it was a Thursday night game. Had the game been played the previous night, it was 22 degrees on Wednesday night. As it was, it warmed up to like 44 for the night we were there. And I sat at a game sitting on my hands. I didn't have any fantasy players in there. Didn't care about this. And I'm thinking, holy crap, this is like the craziest thing I've ever. Why am I sitting here? So, yeah, it's rough.
My 14-degree game in Green Bay was awesome.
yeah.
I loved it. It was fantastic, and I'd do it again in a heartbeat. I can sit in anything for 3 hours.
And teams like Kansas City and Buffalo, they understand what type of cleats to wear and stuff like that. And you would think that the word would get around the league, like
You would think.
get the 2-inch cleats or whatever
hey,
they
Nike,
are.
how many different varieties do you have? We have 6. Okay, we want all 6 for every player we have.
But,
Yeah, there
and then
you
you
go.
hear it, and they're like, well, they had to change
No.
cleats at halftime.
No, you're
it's
absolutely
like,
right. You hear that all the time, and it's like, wow,
who's the
why?
equipment manager? Or, whose job is that?
The guy from Reebok's got money on the other team. Oh, yeah, you should just use those shoes. Those are good. Those are good.
All right, let's get into our final commercial with American Axes, and we'll get into some picks.
Tired of going to the same old places for the same old thing? American Axes has your solution. Whether you're looking for something new to do before or after the game, bachelor, bachelorette party, or somewhere new to take those out-of-town guests, American Axes has 3 Atlanta locations located in Marietta, Tucker, and now in downtown at the Works. Each and every location is conveniently, but not coincidentally, located next to a brewery. Look us up at American Axis or give us a call at 678-763-3635 to schedule your next adventure.
And thank you, Dan Fisher, for being the sponsor of the Axe Picks and 3 Guys Who Love Sports, along with Alvin Jameson and Brian Bristow. We also had someone else reach out to us on Facebook this week about being a sponsor, so that's really
Nice.
cool. We're going to talk to them here in the near future. It's time to make some picks. A lot of playoff football this weekend, wild card weekend.
And before we get started, and I forget about everything, which is usually what happens, we have a contest that we are offering. There should be a link off of the website in the app. And if you need anything, please feel free to text or email anybody here on the show, and we'll get it to you. But a nice little thing where you basically just fill out the bracket.
And you're going to win a $25 gift card here to Miller's Ale House.
What? Yeah.
Yeah, get some good stuff.
Get some scampi
Scampi.
Deadline is Saturday
before the game.
Before the
before the
kickoff.
first game.
Before
Yeah.
the first kickoff. Awesome. So, yeah, don't forget to check out our app on 3guyswholovesports.com and also the owlswholivsports.com. So we've got a couple things going on now. You can now order, if you want to get your pretty little picture on a pillow or on a T-shirt or a hat, you can do that now through us too. So any promotional products that you want your mug on,
We got a
Even
crazy producer, let me tell you.
even a mug. If you want your mug on a mug, let me know. So or let us know. So that's cool.
Our producer might be selling mattresses before the. I should be locked up. All these mattresses are going quick.
Crazy Larry.
That's it.
Oh, wasn't there a Crazy Larry on Seinfeld? There was
Yeah.
this place caught on fire, right? Yeah, okay. Cool. So let's get into the picks. First game is Cleveland-Houston. Cleveland laying 2.5 at Houston. So what do we think?
You know, Cleveland took the whole week off. Houston had to play for everything. So, as much as everybody's going to want to talk about that one seed and, is it good to have a week off or not a week off? Baltimore's getting ready to have 2 weeks off. Cleveland just had 1 week off. Houston played for everything. I'm going Browns. This is a weird team, which, once again, they've won with 4 different quarterbacks. I've never heard of a team that's actually many
They've
teams,
used 5 this year.
but 4 of them have actually won
Yes.
games, and that's the idea that they use 5 is insane, but that 4 different ones have won, and it's not they have no Chubb. This team lost everything right off the bat, and here they are. So I'm gonna take the Flaccos, as much as I hate that guy.
I just got a text from your wife. Said Saban retired.
Just making sure we're
Breaking news.
Breaking news. ATI broke it, actually. From,
ATI did break it.
from reading.
That's right.
I am going to give the axe, and I give the axe to the loser, not to the winner. So I'm going to give the axe to Houston. I'd love to see Stroud do well, but I think thank you. But I do think that Cleveland, with a really, really good running game and a good defense, will probably take care of Houston.
I've got Cleveland as well.
And
all the way across the board.
They did, and that's never a good sign. We'll see. ATI, what do you say?
I love the Flacco weirdness. I think it's hilarious
However,
that they paid Deshaun Watson all that money, and Joe Flacco's the one leading them into the playoffs.
Yeah.
But I'm going to take the Strouds.
the other
The
thing,
Fighting Strouds.
Talking about how Cleveland runs the ball. Rock Hands Cooper had 260 yards 2 games ago catching. Njoku has gone off the last 4. So he's just throwing the ball around, and he turns the ball over left and right. But he's got a short-term memory, I think, because he's so dang old.
Yeah.
And,
Just doesn't care anymore.
Exactly.
There you go. All right, game number 2. The Finns going to the frigid tundra of Kansas City, Arrowhead Stadium. I don't think there's going to be any precipitation, but I think it's just going to be downright cold. I think they said the low that night's going to be -2 or something like that. So, but I think 10 degrees at kickoff.
The high is supposed to be like negative or 11 degrees that day, and they're kicking off at night, so it won't be 11.
Miami gets the axe. I think Kansas City will roll in this game.
I don't know if they'll roll, but 10-3 or something like that. I think they'll cover it and win.
I haven't seen Kansas City roll over anything except for Taylor Swift videos here lately.
Yeah.
I don't like them. I really, as bad as Miami looks, Kansas City has not impressed me for 2 months. So I'll take the Finns in that 4 points, and whether I win it because of those points or once again, it only takes one Tyreek play. When it's that cold and nobody can take it, it could be a 5-yard pass, and 7 seconds later it's 7-0, and it could be the difference. We'll see.
ATI?
This has a recipe to be a fantastically terrible game. Kansas City is not good on offense. Miami has a bunch of injuries. It's going to be 2 degrees outside. I'm going to take the Dolphins.
Dolphins also have a better running game.
Yes.
There's
2 and 2.
Two different guys.
Is Pacheco still hurt, or is he better?
Pacheco
now?
should be back.
Okay.
Yes,
All
he
right.
should be
Cool.
back.
All right. Game number 3. Pittsburgh +10 at Buffalo.
Nobody circles the wagons like them Buffalo Bills, baby. This is a great game for Buffalo.
And it is supposed to be snowing at that game.
The Steelers are. This is not a good Steelers team. I'm not trying to jinx this game or anything, but it's not a good Steelers team. It is Mason Rudolph still starting in this game, and the Bills. The Bills have looked good against everybody they were supposed to, and they seem to, they had those 2 games against the Chargers.
Play
and the
down to the
Patriots
level
where
of their competition.
we don't have to worry about that anymore. You're in the playoffs, so
It's
just
one game and out.
And I really like their chances here. Whether they might not cover the 10, I think they cover the 10 going away, but they're definitely coming up with the win this week.
Bill?
Yeah, I got them covering the 10.
ATI?
Steelers legend Mason Rudolph is not going to have a great game.
Will they retire his number into the?
No, they will certainly not, unless it's for getting Myles Garrett suspended. So I'm going to go with the Bills.
Valid call on that, just for the record.
Well, I'd love to be the lone wolf on this, but I can't. I think Najee Harris is all that the Bills have. I mean, that the Steelers have, and he may run well, but I think Buffalo is peaking at the right time. You're supposed to be hot at the end of the year, and that's what they've done. They've won. They were 6-6, and now they're 11-6, and hosting a playoff game. So
At home.
At home. So that's what hosting means, at home.
Yeah.
Yeah. So I will give the axe to the Steelers.
And the Steelers did not look that good against a resting Baltimore team last week.
No.
It wasn't like, wow, they're running roughshod on them. No.
17-10, right?
Yeah, it was.
Yeah.
And T.J. Watt is going to be out.
He's out.
Yeah,
Correct.
Watt's not playing. Yeah. So game number 4, the Packers at the Cowboys.
This game just screams playoff football. These guys, every time they get together, it's a heck of a moment.
Didn't Green Bay beat Dallas a couple of years ago or last year in a playoff game?
Yes, in Dallas.
In Dallas, yeah.
And
But
then,
this is a
there's
different
the
game.
amazing play with
Des Bryant
Des Bryant
catch.
Yeah.
He caught it.
Pylon. Isn't the Ice Bowl this game?
Yes.
Yep.
I mean, these guys always line up against each other come January.
Yeah. Bill, what do you say, buddy?
I think it's going to be a very high-scoring game. I've got Dallas winning and covering the spread, and I think both teams in the 30s or something.
Wow.
I mean,
That's a lot of points.
Packers defense isn't that great.
ATI?
I wonder who I'm going to pick. This is a really tough call. Who am I kidding? Micah Parsons will reign supreme.
I think he might. I think he might. Yeah, Dallas is one of those teams. If they were sprinkled in Buffalo weather or Kansas City weather,
yeah.
I would not feel the same about their chances in this game. But I did not. You were talking earlier, Chuck, about how every person on the Green Bay roster is less than two years of playing time, and they're still not very good. Great job of making the playoffs, but I feel very similar to them as I did, and I called it all year long that I did not like the Giants, and then all off season I still don't like the Giants, and yes, that Giant team showed up this year. I think this is a similar type team. They won a couple games, got in the playoffs, but they're going to get embarrassed on this weekend.
You think so?
I think it's a big score.
I don't think Dallas has lost at home, have they?
Nope.
Yep. So
This would be a fantastic time. I mean, the stars are really just aligning. Undefeated at home, 7 seeds never won a playoff game.
yeah.
It's just
Purdue's number one.
I, as much as I want to pick Green Bay to win, with all that alignment of the stars like ATI said, I just don't think I can. Now, I do think it'll be within the point spread. So I will give Dallas the axe, but only because of the 7 in the hook, because I think it'll be probably a 4 or 7 point game with Dallas winning. But
I just wish it was the old stadium where God could still look in to see him.
I've been to that.
since we're talking about stars being aligned.
Have you ever been to that stadium?
I've been in the parking lot when I went to the 2020 NLCS Braves Dodgers in Arlington. You pull into that parking lot and all the stadiums are right there.
It's incredible.
Oh
yeah.
my God, Jerry World is just so big.
When
big.
I was married and my ex worked for Eastern Airlines, we flew out there to
Lovely
watch the
lady,
Falcons.
I've heard.
Watch the Falcons play the Cowboys. We beat them pretty bad that day.
Right.
But we were 17 rows in the upper deck, and I literally felt if I stood up, I was going to fall on the field. I mean, the seats were like this steep. It was pretty incredible. But yeah, so I'm going to give the axe to the Cowboys, and but I think
Take those points.
I'll take the points. Yeah. All right. The Rams and the Lions.
That's my upset special.
Matthew
LA
Stafford
going
going home.
into the dome, and they're on a little bit of a roll, and I think the experience and that Super Bowl team, they got the memories and the vibe and all that. I think they're going to get it done.
Yeah. Yeah.
Laporta's out. Well, is he out?
Who?
he's
Laporta?
Tight end.
questionable.
Questionable.
I think,
Good tight end.
I think a tough rookie tight end showing up for this game, but I don't know.
It's really funny because I want to pick one of the 3 teams that have never been to a Super Bowl to win.
Yeah.
And
Cleveland, Detroit would be fun.
Cleveland,
Houston.
Detroit would be fun. Yeah. Houston, they probably have the least chance of making it this year. But future looks bright for Houston. I am going to go ahead and give the Rams the axe. I think Detroit's going to cover. I think that former Yellow Jacket and Roll Tide kid Jahmyr Gibbs is going to have a big day, and I think that the Rams will fall to the Lions. I think the Lions will cover.
It would be insanely funny to me if the Lions got their first home game at Ford Field and they lose to the Rams. I mean, JFK has only missed one Lions playoff victory.
Correct.
And the Lions fans are asking their fans not to wear Matthew Stafford jerseys. So I'm gonna go with the Rams.
Which is funny because there's always a new player and everybody always buys it. Clearly that's still not a case up there. So people in Detroit are still hanging on to that old jersey and wanting to wear it. This is my upset special as well. I think this is going to be the best game out of any game this weekend. The Rams can score with Kupp and Nakua, and not to mention. Most likely the best running back in football, I will say. I know McCaffrey had an incredible season, but when you look at the 4 games. What's his name?
Kyron Williams.
Kyron missed. If you put in the 4 games he missed, holy moly, I mean, the guy's averaging 96, 97 yards, and he wasn't even the starter in week 1. I drafted, who did I draft? Who's the bum that got traded to the Vikings? Cam Akers. I knew I had a sleeper when I took Cam Akers. But yeah, this is going to be an exciting game. I think you're right with the running game for Detroit. Montgomery and Mr.
Montgomery
Gibbs.
back?
Yeah, they're both there. I mean, they can do everything. But every time I see a stat on Detroit, it's if you blitz the quarterback, he stinks. If you don't blitz him, he puts up huge numbers. Well, if ever there's a team that should know that, it's the Rams. So I'm just gonna go with that and take Sean McVay.
All right, last game. We got Philly at Tampa Bay on Monday night. Philly laying 3.
This also has the makings of a terrible football game because the Eagles aren't good and I hate them, and the Bucks are not good. So I'm going to go with Tampa Bay because I never pick Philly.
Sound
like a true
logic.
Cowboys fan.
Yeah, I like Tampa Bay. I think Philly's just they're falling apart at the wrong time.
I don't like either one of these teams. You have to pick one, and I think Tampa at home is good, but I think this is probably the game where Jalen Hurts scores 2 touchdowns at least on tush pushes or brotherly shoves, and I think Philly barely escapes this game.
And this could be one of those that's a field goal at the end to win or
Absolutely.
something like that.
I'm either way on this game, but I'll go with Robert. I think DeAndre Swift and somebody will make a play. Devontae Adams or
Not Devontae. He won't do anything in this game.
Devontae Smith. Devontae Smith.
Or
Thank you.
A.J.
Yes.
Brown.
Yeah, or AJ Brown. Somebody will make a big play, and I don't think it's going to be Mayfield to Mike Evans. So I will give Tampa Bay the axe, just because Philadelphia can't be as bad as it looks like they are. So that's pretty much it for the playoffs.
How far did they fall, though? Well, remember when they were 10-1?
Forever.
Yeah.
Everybody was
Forever.
like,
Oh, yeah.
okay,
Yeah.
just go
Unstoppable.
ahead and
Unstoppable.
Put them in the Super Bowl because nobody can beat this team.
Yeah.
Now they might not win in Tampa.
Calling for the head coach.
Guys, good show. We broke some big news with
Saban retiring.
with Saban retiring, and got some good talk in about some football, and we'll get back to it. And next week, I think, Robert, we should get back to our jersey number.
I absolutely think we should. And
It's 20, isn't it?
We're still on. We're going to do number 20. And
All right.
Mr. Starrett, I hope to see you beforehand. But I always I just look forward to playing you in the Super Bowl again.
Shut up. All right,
Let's
and
do
don't
it again.
And don't
Yeah.
forget,
Do it
the
again.
NFL draft is just around the corner. We're going to need 10 GMs to help us draft picks.
And
So
you-
we'll put you in for one, Bill.
You
Yeah.
know which team you're drafting.
Yeah,
for.
there you go. All right, guys, thank you for joining us. And, guys, don't forget to take care of yourself, know your numbers, cover your ass, get your prostate checked. We'll see you next week on Three Guys Who Love Sports.